This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, I'm going to give you two breakdowns of two fights that's going to be happening this weekend. I had to go to the tail of the tape, all day today so that I can see what's going on. And I'm going to give you guys my initial predictions and my initial assessments of the fight. The first one is Relikh versus Regis Prograis, or since Prograis is the bigger name, Regis Prograis versus Relikh. Here's my take on the tail of the tape of the fight. Both fighters are pretty much almost evenly matched in height. You got Regis Prograis at 5'8". You got Relikh at 5'9.5". So, yeah, he got 1.5 inches, but the height is not too much of an inept. It's not like 3 or 4 inches. So, to me, it's pretty close. The reach advantage, Relikh has what, half an inch reach advantage. They both have 67. One's 67.5. The other one's 67. So I'm not even looking at that. What I'm looking at is what do both fighters bring to the table. It's so interesting because the same guy, another guy, Rances Barthelemy, that, they say questionably got the decision over Relikh, and robbed him. He's going to be fighting Robert Easter, and I'm covering that fight right after this one. But here's my take of this fight. Really, it boils down to an action-packed fight. You know what I'm saying? This is actually a fan favorite. If you're a true boxing fan and a true boxing connoisseur, you don't want to miss these two because you have to look at what they both bring to the table. They're action-packed fighters. They both fight well on the front foot. They're above average front foot fighters. I slightly would lean on Regis Prograis on the back foot because I've seen Relikh's back foot game, and to me, I'm not going to sit here and say it's atrocious, but it's borderline suspect. And I feel this is the advantage that Regis Prograis has over him. Regis Prograis on the back foot can fight above average. He can fight very decent on the back foot. So when it comes to not only throwing, the wailing punches and the thudding power punches that's going to land and that's going to mean some technical punching placement on the front foot, but on the back foot, being slick, being able to evade, hit and don't get hit, Regis Prograis to me is superior in that regard. So when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at both fighters, to me, Regis Prograis, although he's 30 years old, mind you, and Relikh is 29, Regis Prograis to me has the upside. He has more of an upside because he's just more of a dynamic fighter. So when I'm looking at it from the tail of the tape, I'm picking Regis Prograis to win the fight. I got him winning 7-5, possibly 8-4. I got him outpointing Relikh because I feel like styles make fights. Both fighters are coming to fight. Relikh has something to prove with those 2 losses. They both have 19 KOs. Relikh being a little bit more experienced at 23-2. Regis Prograis 23-0. But Regis Prograis got something to prove. Remember, he called out Mikey Garcia. He called out Teofimo Lopez. And he called out Adrian Broner. He said he's the man at 140. Especially after, impressive victories by Maurice Hooker and Ramirez, Regis Prograis got to stand out at 140. So what better way to stand out than fighting the hardest fight of your career against Relikh? Because this is the hardest fight of his career. I think it's going to be action-packed. I'm not taking away from the fact that Regis Prograis might not get a knockout. He possibly very well. Because you got 2 guys that are coming to crack each other's brains out. I feel that Regis Prograis is going to be just a little bit more physically dominant. So there could be a knockout there. But if there is a knockout, it's going to be late. But I'm leaning towards outpointing. 7-5, more so 8-4. That's my tell of the tape. Regis Prograis wins 8-4. Now, let's fast forward and go into Robert Easter versus Rances Barthelemy. To me, this is a 50-50 fight. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I feel that Rances Barthelemy is not someone for people to sleep on. When you look at their height, Robert Easter has the advantage, 6 feet to 5'10". So he has a 2-inch advantage in that regard. Robert Easter has the reach advantage. We're talking about 76 to 72 and some change. So Robert Easter clearly has some advantages there that cannot be overlooked. The problem with Robert Easter is he has lapses, in the fights. And when I say lapses, I'm talking about mental lapses. This was proven when he fought against the likes of a Mikey Garcia. He's shown mental ineptitude. And if I'm Rances Barthelemy, who likes to press the action, who is an aggressive fighter, who can be physical in his fights. We saw that in the Kiryl Relikh fight. That was a good action-packed fight. I'm pressing the action on Robert Easter because I noticed that Robert Easter does not like to be pressured. And if you can pressure him and you can outwork him and you can counter him, which Rances Barthelemy is pretty good at countering, I believe that will spell success for Rances Barthelemy. On the other end, Robert Easter needs to use his height, his reach, and his size advantage. Because Robert Easter does have a good jab, and Robert Easter knows how to land punches. So, to me, that's a 50-50 fight. I can't definitively pick a winner because, to me, it's all on who's going to come out and who's going to show out the most in that fight. But when you're talking about the physical attributes, Robert Easter has the advantage. But who's the stronger fighter? I think Rances Barthelemy is the stronger fighter. And if Rances Barthelemy could cut the ring off, and Rances Barthelemy could use his more powerful size in terms of strength and what he could bring to the table in terms of punching power, Robert Easter's in trouble. Because let's be honest, Robert Easter can be dropped. Mikey Garcia dropped his ass. Robert Easter is not the biggest dude. He's long, lanky, and he's skinny. You know what I'm saying? He kind of reminds me of a Paul Smith. You guys remember Paul Smith, man, that old school boxer. Well, not old school, but they got the same build. You know what I'm saying? They long and they tall and they're there to be hit. And the thing with Robert Easter is he leaves his head out a lot and he keeps his hands down. And I think Rances Barthelemy could take advantage of that. When Robert Easter's pressing forward, he leaves his head there to be hit. Rances Barthelemy is a guy that likes to make you pay when you're being defensively irresponsible. So I think that, again, it all depends on who's coming out to fight. But at the same time, I'm not going to count Robert Easter out because Robert Easter got something to prove. You know what I'm saying? His last fight, we saw it, was against Mikey Garcia. And we know how that fight ended. So to me, this is probably going to be the better fight of the night. If I had to pick between Regis Prograis and Kiryl Relikh versus Robert Easter and Rances Barthelemy, I'm going to pick Robert Easter and Rances Barthelemy because it's a closer fight. It could be anybody. In that fight, it's whoever comes out better, that's the person that's going to win. And I feel like whoever's the winner between those fights, Regis Prograis and Kiryl Relikh, you know what I'm saying, versus Robert Easter and Rances Barthelemy, then they can have step-up fights at their respective weight classes and fight, the biggest and the best at that point. But we'll see, This is going to be an action-packed night, April 27th. I'm going to be watching because these are not big names, but if you're a true boxing purist and a true boxing connoisseur, you live for these types of fights. So we'll see if Regis Prograis can really make a noise and really make a dent at the 140-pound division. And we'll see if Robert Easter wants to get respect reestablished on his name. But I don't know, man. The momentum from Rances Barthelemy, even though it's 50-50, with the mental lapses that I know that Robert Easter has, if I had to put all of the eggs on the marble, because I don't never like to do 50-50, I'm actually leaning slightly towards Rances Barthelemy because you guys know I have to ultimately make a pick. I know they're going to be like, no, don't do this 50-50 bullshit. We ain't whatever the fart his name is. So if I have to lean it slightly, I'm picking Rances Barthelemy to pull it out. But it's going to be very close edge type of decision type of fight. I don't see nobody dropping anyone because I think both fighters are coming to fight. I just feel with the mental lapses that a Robert Easter has, I think a Rances Barthelemy could take advantage of that. So that's my take on both fights. That's my initial take. You know what I'm saying? I think around Friday, I'm going to go ahead and give my second take on the fight. I just need to see the weigh-ins, see what everybody's looking like, and then I'm going to give my second take on the fight then. This is Hino's Sport. Checking out.